We'll have the June public session for Anne Arundel Community College please come to order. Before we start with our business agenda tonight, I just want to point out that Dr. Johnson, Trustee Dr. Johnson, is participating tonight by Zoom. And everybody wave at Dr. Johnson. Yay. There he is. And he's even... And I would like to point out that he's even dressed for the occasion on Zoom. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. I will now entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I request to amend the agenda to include the audit report.
So you're approving with just an amendment to the audit report?
To include the audit report.
Very good. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Excuse me. This is my last meeting. I'm really nervous about this. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. Monica, will you call for the roll, please?
Yes, trustees, when I call your name, please state your vote. Chair Uvala.
Approve.
Vice Chair Chen.
Approve.
Trustee Chaudhry.
Approve.
Trustee Johnson.
Approve.
Trustee
hear me?
Moore.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, we got it.
Approve.
Trustee Price Jones.
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram.
Approve.
Trustee Gwynn.
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. I'm sure sorry that I bet on the under for the participation tonight for the attendance, because it looks like a normal meeting. I thought we'd be a little lighter, but welcome all. We appreciate having you. I'd like to start out by recognizing Trustee Dr. James H. Johnson, Jr. for his board service. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to recognize and thank Dr. Jim Johnson. Today will be his last meeting as an Anne Arundel Community College Board of Trustee member. Jim has served on the Board of Trustees with distinction for the last 18 years. He's appointed to the board in 2006 and was chair of the board from 2008 to 2011 and vice chair 2007 to 2008, and then returning as vice chair 2020 to 2021. In addition to his leadership as chair and vice chair, he served as a member and chair on numerous committees, most recently as the chair of the Budget Committee. Jim's also served on the board liaison with the Maryland Association of Community Colleges and was a liaison with the Middle States Commission on Higher Education Steering Committee during the college's self-study and reaccreditation process last year. The board and college have benefited greatly from Jim's expertise, thoughtful questions, careful deliberations, attention to detail, and sense of humor. He is a champion and advocate for student success, diversity, and equity. As a small token of our appreciation, Jim, a plaque will be mailed to you and honoring your service as a Board of Trustee member. And again, it's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. You'll be missed by all of us at Anne Arundel Community College. Thank you for your service. Jim, do you have any remarks?
Well, I figured after 18 years, that's long enough. But the important thing was I had as much growth as perhaps I may have given to others. And throughout my entire stay, what I found is I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. But there were so many nice people to work with. So thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. The money was about right, and so we'll take that and walk away.
Thanks again, Jim. Appreciate it. Our second recognition tonight is on behalf of the Board of Trustees. I'd like to thank
Chair
Rachel
Uvala.
Gwynn for...
Can anyone make remarks for Jim?
Sure.
Good.
We were going for a record low, quick time.
I'll make it quick. Jim, I wanted to thank you personally. I was going to thank you tonight, but now I get to do it in front of God and everybody here. But I wanted to thank you personally for all the help you gave me when I was chair. Your suggestions and your comments and your mentorship, along with Larry, couldn't have done it without you. And I really appreciated everything you did for me personally and on behalf of the board. Thank you, Jim.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody else? See, I'm trainable. Our second recognition tonight, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to thank Rachel Gwynn for her service and outstanding service and contributions as a student member of the Board for the Trustees of 2023-2024. Rachel has done an outstanding job of representing AACC students and sharing that perspective with the Board. This past year, she served as a member of the Board Development Committee and was a liaison to the AACC Foundation Board of Directors. She was an active participant in every meeting she attended, and her contributions were welcomed by all. We are grateful for her service, which has benefited the college and the Foundation Board. Rachel, we want to recognize you today, and as a small token of our appreciation, we present you with this plaque to honor your service and contributions to the Anne Arundel County Board of Trustees. Rachel. Okay, does anybody have any comments for Rachel?
Can Rachel make some comments?
Please.
I just wanted to say thank you to the board, to the chair, to Dr. Lindsay, and to a lot of people that are in this room with me. There's a lot of you in here that have seen my growth at AACC since I started back a couple years ago. And I'm out of breath, I apologize. But I just wanted to say thank you, and that this has been an incredible journey and an incredible opportunity for my own personal growth and my academic growth. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. For those that are unaware, our student member is a voting member of this board, and that's kind of unusual throughout the United States, actually. 16 community colleges in Maryland, about half of them have voting members, student board members. So it's always helpful in our case to have that student perspective. And we've been blessed with some great student members over the years, and Rachel is no exception. She's been right up there with them, so thank you so much. Vice Chair Chen.
Am I on? Absolutely. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank our outgoing chair, Larry Uvolo, for bringing his many years of board experience and his love of this college to the chairmanship over the past year. Larry truly is a champion for the college, meeting with elected officials, community members, and constantly advocating for AACC students, faculty, and staff. This year was particularly challenging with CADE funding reductions for Maryland community colleges. Our legislators asked Larry to testify on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and legislators were able to negotiate a partial restoration of the funding, a huge accomplishment. He also testified to legislators in support of a bill to increase the size of the board, thereby strengthening it. He has led this board with integrity, fairness, and respect, and we appreciate his time and efforts. He has helped me personally, helping me fill the vice chair role. Larry, it has been a pleasure working with you as chair, and we want to recognize you today. We are grateful that you will remain a trustee and look forward to your continued service on the board.
Thanks, Nadine. I really appreciate that. This is one of the roles that I've done over my career and many leadership roles I've had that's been the most rewarding for me. Many of you know I have an AA degree. That's where I started out, and the value to that is one of the reasons I have such passion to do this, to try to provide opportunity for other folks, young folks as well. I still have this problem with not getting my direct deposit squared away, and I'm
We're
warning,
consistent.
I'm going to warn you, the next 2 years, I'll still be dedicated to try to straighten that out. I did have the privilege this year at the graduation ceremonies to present the awards for cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude, and shared with everybody that when I got my A degree, I got a 3.3. I mean, I missed it. So I know how hard it is to accomplish that. But in any event, thank you for those kind comments. Now we'll go on with our consent agenda. It's a rather long one, but I think it's important to point out that, especially in the procurements, those have all been vetted and approved by the Facilities Committee. And you'll hear some things tonight that will mean that these agendas in the future will probably be quite a bit shorter on at least the procurements. So right now, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second, approval in a second. Any discussion? Any that want to pull out? Hearing none, Monica, can we call for the vote, please?
Yes, trustees, when I call your name, please state your vote. Chair Uvala,
Approve?
Vice Chair Chen,
Approved.
Trustee Chaudhry,
Approve.
Trustee Johnson,
Approve.
Trustee Moore, Trustee Price Jones,
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram, Trustee Gwynn,
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you very much, Monica. Then we'll go into our committee reports, and we start with our Board Development Committee. Trustee Price Jones, please.
Yes, thank you, trustee.
Could you turn that on?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. The Board Development Committee met on February 27th to tour the Clawson Center for Skilled Trades. The board members that attended were members Chen, Moore, and Price Jones. On May 14th, the board did a DEIAA assessment training presented by Dr. Kelly McCants Price and Melanie Mount Dioka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Board members attending were members Chair Uvala, Vice Chair Chen, Ms. Moore, Dr. Johnson, Ms. Gwynn, and myself. I want to give a special thanks to Dr. McCandless Price and Ms. Mount Dioka for an enlightening presentation. All members really learned something. It's good. We walked the walk that we ask you to do as well. The board committee also met on May 21st and June 6th to review the board self-assessment results and debriefed on the board development committee activity for the year. The committee originally recommended holding an August 9th board retreat. We are now looking at other dates in late August or early September. We will send an email later this week asking you to hold a few dates for the retreat. Once the new board members have been appointed, we will confirm the date in early July. And for the board assessment, we had some comments, and I thought it was important to report the comments that came back from our annual board assessment. And included with my report are a list of resources for members to, as a result of the feedback from the survey. Some of the board talking points were 7 of the 8 members completed the assessment, and the questions included level of understanding of board role at the college. The ratings were from good to excellent. Another assessment question was level of participation in board activities. Results ranged from almost always to always. Level of performance by board members as outlined in the document, expectations of board members, it was rated good to excellent. Understanding of board goals, rated good to excellent. Suggestions for improvement to the board onboarding process. And one of the comments was summaries to remind of key talking points. And currently, the staff is in the process of developing a summary for board members. Another comment was providing the following information: names and photos of college executive staff and their responsibilities, This feedback has been added to the new trustee orientation presentation and will be presented to the Resources Center in Diligent. The presentation will be added to the Resources Center in Diligent in summer of 2024. Another suggestion was a list of acronyms. This is currently posted on the Resource Center in Diligent. A schedule of annual events trustees are expected and encouraged to attend. And a list of annual events with general dates will be provided to trustees and posted in the Resource Center in Diligent in the fall. And another comment was a separation of board and operations, working examples of those limits. And in my report, I included several resources, and there's an excellent video that says that the board is like a helicopter over a ship. The ship has captain and its crew, and we're just flying high to make sure everything is going right. Another suggestion was an explanation of staff and student organizations that report during public meetings and college policies. And a list will be provided and posted in the Resources Center in Diligent in summer 2024. Next, an aspiring board member should attend one board meeting prior to being appointed. We agree. This is a working board. Next, it said, continue to emphasize the time needed to commit to this board, that we do not interfere with operations, and that everyone needs to pull their own weight so all the work does not fall on a few people. So we really appreciate these comments, and especially with new members coming on the board. Another question was, what do you wish you knew when you first joined the board? And the responses were, I need to learn more about the board year-round process. I am catching up on current events. A second comment was participate in more AACC events and the extent of preparation required for me, I assume for meetings. The next question was how can you become more engaged in the board governance process? And a suggestion was to have a student partner as I attend events. So we're looking into that as well. And additional comments or feedbacks included love the board and the college, applaud the work the board development committee of the board development committee. For the most part, we have a wonderful cohesive board that respects the staff and keeps an eye on fiscal responsibility. The loss of Trustee Johnson is huge. We will need to work hard to replace his expertise. Next was, while I agree that a self-assessment is important, monitoring the board's participation is only one part of an assessment. Improvements to scheduling, meeting, and requirements is another. The board requires membership and chairmanship to 2 to 3 committees. Is that needed? Are each of the committees, besides budget, absolutely necessary and helpful for the college? This is what we need to be examining as a board. And since I will be passing the baton next year, the next board development chair can work on that. And the last comment was, this is an amazing board and I am proud to serve on this board. And there are a number of resources in here for my colleagues to take part in. So, Chair Uvula, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Joyce? No?
Do you want me to do the audit report now, or?
I'll come back to that.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, now that you have the floor, why don't you go ahead with the audit committee report, and this will be an example for other committee members, because this is real short.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's only 2 things. I met with Clinton, Lawson, Allen auditors Christy Bowman and Katie Orrs in preparation for this year's annual audit, because I will continue to chair the audit committee. And the audit services and tax compliant contracts for the state of work with Clinton, Lawson, and Allen was completed on June 17th, 2024. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Vice Chair Dr. Chen on the Policy Board Oversight Committee.
The committee met on June 4th, 10th, and 11th to review 2 new policies, 1 revised policy, 3 interim policy requests, and revisions to the board bylaws. The animal policy, disability accommodations policy, and revised procurement policy are presented to the board as an information item for tonight's meeting. The board currently does not have an animal policy. This policy describes the circumstances that employees, students, and visitors to the college are permitted to bring animals into college buildings or on college property. The board currently...
On the board right now, okay? Bye.
The board currently does not have a disability accommodations policy. This policy describes the rights for employees, applicants, students, and visitors to request and receive disability accommodations in accordance with the college's policies and relevant laws and regulations regarding disability accommodations, including but not limited to the Americans with Disabilities Act. The committee recommends revising the procurement policy. The policy was last updated in 2014. The revision includes increasing the college spending threshold needing board approval to $250,000 and updating the format in accordance with the policy on the development of policies and procedures. This revised policy has also been reviewed by the Facilities Committee. All 3 of these policies will be presented to the board as an action item at the September board meeting. The committee also requests consensus from the board to delegate authority to the president to create an interim tuition and residency classification policy, interim sexual misconduct policy, and interim student withdrawal policy. The board currently has a tuition and residency classification policy. However, there is a need to be in compliance with applicable law and regulations, and the college has identified a gap or omission that creates a vulnerability for the institution. The president will revise the interim policy to clarify that deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA students, are eligible for certain tuition benefits. The board currently has a sexual misconduct policy. However, to be in compliance with new federal regulations, the president needs to create an interim policy in order to meet the August 1, 2024 deadline. The committee is also seeking approval for the president to create a new interim student withdrawal policy in order to meet the July 1, 2024 deadline in Maryland legislation requiring colleges to adopt a policy to authorize a student to withdraw from the institution under extenuating circumstances, which include illness, injury, hospitalization, and mental health and wellness. The policy must also include a provision to refund the student for tuition and fees paid by the student. Unless there are any objections, the committee recommends that the board chair delegate the authority to the president to create these 3 interim policies to comply with state and federal law. Lastly, due to the legislation that will be effective starting July 1, 2024, the committee is presenting the revisions to the board bylaws as an action item for today's meeting. The legislation will expand the Anne Arundel Community College Board of Trustees from 8 members to 10. This change is reflected in the bylaws revisions. And while the entire bylaws were included in your materials, the only change is on line number 11. If there are no questions, I would like to ask Dr. Lindsay to read the main motion for the board as this concludes my report.
Happy to do so.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about this interim student withdrawal policy. So what is our current policy if someone gets sick for a month and he don't want to withdraw, he just want to come back and take the makeup classes? Do we still allow him, or is there any kind of certain hours he must need to attend before he can appear on a final?
So I would say that this is in process, it's still being developed, and we are authorizing the president to work on how that would look.
Okay,
And so we can't answer that question at this time.
sure,
Yeah,
I
thanks.
think the intent, though, would be not to be punitive in that kind of situation.
yes, correct.
Okay?
With the main motion?
Mr. Chair
Yes, Tiffany, sorry.
and Trustee Chen, the college does not, as you accurately presented, have a student withdrawal policy. However, there are some processes in place whereby if a student, as Trustee Chowdhury has pointed out, experiences illness or injury or mental health experience where they need to withdraw, they can petition the college through other committees, protocols, and processes such that they would be provided an opportunity to withdraw and perhaps, in some instances, get a credit or still be able to return to courses at a later date. And sometimes it also would include the possibility of having a refund. It's fact-specific. So we do have measures in place, but we do not, as Trustee Chen pointed out, have an actual policy.
Thank you, Tiffany, that was really helpful.
Thank you.
Do you want me to read the main motion?
Please.
Okay, the main motion in front of the board is that the Board of Trustees approve the revision to Section 1A of the Board of Trustees bylaws.
I will, thank you, Jim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Monica, would you please call for the roll?
Yes, trustees, when I call your name, could you please state your vote? Chair Uvala,
Approve?
Vice Chair Chen,
Approve.
Trustee Chaudhry,
Approve.
Trustee Johnson,
Approve.
Trustee Moore,
Approve.
Trustee Price Jones,
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram. Approve. Trustee Gwynn,
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. Next, we'll move on to the Budget Committee. Trustee Dr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board Budget Committee passed up its June 13th meeting because there's so little material available. But the things we did want to present to you are the following: that on Tuesday, May the 28th, the audit or published. I'm trying to read something out of a chart, so it's a little also hang up there with me. Let's see, FY 2025 budget on Tuesday, May 28th, the audit or published head list of recognitions. Oh Lord, I'm not satisfied with that. Let me try something quick. That didn't work. All right, Mr. Chair, it's very, very simple what's being said, and that is there were no big changes, and the final position of our budget, when it was presented to us, but nothing by the Budget Committee itself, but trying to give you that material for yourself. All right, and we'll get it to you soon. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think in the report, it just reflects the fact that it was approved as presented and as we prepared. So we didn't get dinged on anything in terms of the county final budget.
That's correct. All right. That ends my report. I'm sorry, I forgot that part.
Okay, I was going to nudge you on that one, Jim, but thank you very much. Then we'll go on to Trustee Moore on the Facilities Committee.
The committee met via Zoom on June 11th to discuss the following topics: June procurements, future procurements, procurement policy changes, and campus projects. First, the committee discussed the procurements that were on our agenda for approval tonight. Next, the committee discussed the list of future procurements. At the committee chair's request, the committee discussed a proposed change to the board's procurement policy. That's my least favorite word, and I've said it like 10 times now. Specifically, the threshold for contracts that would require board approval. Following discussions by the Board Policy Oversight Committee earlier this week, the Facilities Committee reviewed data from the past 3 years. This data indicated that increasing the threshold from 250,000 would not have a significant impact on the value of the items approved by the board. If the threshold would have been applied during the 3 years reviewed, it would have allowed the board to approve 90% of the total spending in dollars, but reduce the number of agenda items by 36%. Therefore, the committee supports the change in the threshold from 100,000 to 250,000. The committee also requested an annual review of this amount. Last, the committee received an update on campus projects, specifically the Floristana and Dragon Building renovations, the HCAT relocation project, the Ludlam Library Student Union Buildings Walkway project, and the county's Broadneck Trail project. Chair Uvala, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. And last of the committee reports will be, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
can I redeem myself?
Redemption is unnecessary, but please, you have the floor.
Thank you. The Board Budget Committee canceled its June 13th meeting and received a brief written update on the FY 2025 budget. On Tuesday, May the 28th, the auditor published her list of recommended cuts to the county's executive's FY 2025 operating budget. There were no proposed cuts to the college budget in her list of recommendations. The County Council approved the annual county budget and the funding for the college on Friday, June the 14th. The council supported the college portion of the county executive's budget. The capital budget was also approved. This concludes my report, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. And last will be Dr. Chen, Vice Chair Dr. Chen, on the AACC Foundation with more good news.
If I could have Trustee Gwynn read the student thank you letter.
Absolutely. Dear donor, I am writing to express my appreciation for the Kokosing Construction Scholarship for the Trades. I am honored and grateful for the opportunity and support you have provided to me as a student at AACC. I am currently enrolled in the Carpentry Pre-Apprenticeship Program. Your scholarship not only eases my financial obstacles, but also aids me as I work towards my personal and career goals. This scholarship helps me focus more on my studies within my program and allows me to pursue my passion with less uncertainty and greater dedication. Since starting the program, I finally feel like I'm going in the right direction. We have learned not only about carpentry, but also woodworking, CPR, OSHA requirements, and more. The journey from exploring construction management in high school to finding my true passion for hands-on work by joining the Carpentry Pre-Apprenticeship has been life-changing. I am excited to contribute my skills and dedication to the industry, and I look forward to the rest of this journey. My professional goal is to get a job within the construction industry, preferably a carpenter position where I get to frame residential buildings. Thank you again for your contribution and support. Your belief in students like me motivates me to continue working hard towards my goals. Your kindness has not only had a positive impact on my education, but has also inspired me to pay it forward in other areas of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gwynn. Fundraising update. The AACC Foundation is extremely grateful for the collective support received from our generous donors. As of June 17th, 2024, the AACC Foundation's fundraising total is just over $3.79 million in gifts and commitments. Since our last meeting, the foundation received 2 generous scholarship donations supporting the Future Nursing Professional Scholarship and the Clausen Center Trades Education Scholarship. Regarding board activities, the AACC Foundation Board of Directors met last week and approved a slate of nominees for membership. New members include 2 former AACC alums, Mr. Andre Habib and Mr. Adam Hertz. In addition, we accepted the college's nomination for a student member, Ms. Lauren Oliver. During the meeting, the board also approved the foundation's fiscal year 2025 budget and set goals and strategic priorities for the upcoming year. This concludes my report.
Good news indeed. Thank you very much. Any questions for Vice Chair Dr. Chen?
Yeah, I have a question about this facilities committee. So I see that in the last 3 years, we are requesting to increase from 100,000 to 150,000. Does any of those, whenever we propose some amount, it was rejected or all of them was approved? If any item was.
From the board?
Yeah, from the board.
No, I think once it comes through the facilities committee.
Sandy on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Once it comes through the facilities committee and the facilities committee has vetted it
Okay.
and agreed to it, I don't recall any instance where we have had something that has not been passed by the board once the facilities committee has vetted it.
Okay.
I don't remember any, no, Dr. Beardmore,
Vice President Beer.
Vice President Beardmore doesn't either. So,
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure.
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have a motion to approve meeting dates for public sessions next year. Do you have one?
I do. The motion in front of the board is that the Board of Trustees approves its 2024, 2025 meeting dates as shown in Exhibit 1.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, Monica, would you call for the vote, please?
Yes, trustees, when I call your name, please state your vote. Chair Uvala,
Approve.
Vice Chair Chen,
Approve.
Trustee Chaudhry,
Approve.
Trustee Johnson,
Approve.
Trustee Moore,
Approve?
Trustee Price Jones,
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram. Trustee Gwynn.
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you. Now we'll go into our President's Report. Dr. Lindsay?
Thank you. AACC's commencement was a huge success. Approximately 1,650 students graduated with 2,206 degrees and certificates last month, and over 610 graduates participated in the 2 ceremonies. Many thanks to the Commencement Committee for planning such an amazing event for our students. I am pleased to report that the County Council approved the Anne Arundel County budget and the funding for the college on June the 14th. The County Council supported the college's position of the county exec's budget, and the 6% compensation pool remains in the budget. This capital budget was also approved. I want to thank the board for your support. No way would that have happened without you all being behind us as a college. And we really, really appreciate your respect and your support of the work, the hard work that everybody's doing on behalf of our students. I had the opportunity to have Pat Florestano come and tour the Florestano building this morning. Some of you may remember when Dr. Florestano was president here at the college. He passed away in 2012. Pat has just been an avid supporter of the college and really, really appreciates everything that's been done. And she said Tom's smiling up there knowing what's happening with our students, and very, very excited that Dr. Patterson's going to get her student center. So the students can have their one-stop, which is something apparently he really believed in. So that's wonderful news. Earlier this month, we were honored to celebrate our faculty and staff who retired this year with a reception for their contributions to the college. We celebrated over 432 years of combined service. I want to thank Chair Larry Uvala, Vice Chair Nadine Chen, and Trustee Sandy Moore for attending the event as well. I'm happy to announce that I will be the Grand Marshal of the Severna Park Independence Day Parade on Thursday, July 4th. It is a great honor on behalf of the Severna Park. It's just a surprise, but it should be fun, and it's a wonderful way for us to highlight and showcase our college. I want to also acknowledge our constituent group leaders. We have, in the process of a change, we've had people in place, and some people are leaving us, and other people are coming in. So tonight I would like, and if you could please stand if you're here, I want to acknowledge our constituency group leaders. Andy Kim, Academic Forum and Council Chair, you can stay standing. Andrea Zamora, President for the Administrative Staff Organization. Lisa Starkey, President, Professional and Support Staff Organization. Zach Buster, President, Student Government Association. And Dr. Deborah Levine, the Chair. The Faculty Organization. Andy will continue as the Academic Forum and the County Chair next year, but this is the final meeting for the others. I've truly appreciated working with all of you. I look forward to more growth and more development and more collaboration as we move forward. The constituent groups have been amazing to work with. We're very, very fortunate to have the leadership that we have coming from all aspects of the college as we're looking at direction. So I just want to publicly thank you all for your work and your commitment. You made it fun. More smiles than anything, I think, and it's just really nice to know that we've got people around here that we can work with together, and it really is a harmonious process. And with that, I will ask Valerie Melson, our Executive Director for the ACC Foundation and Institutional Advancement, to please come forward with your presentation.
Thank you, members of the board. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to tell you about external resources that we brought in this year through private philanthropy, through the AACC Foundation, or through grants, most of which are public grants, through the college's Office of Sponsor programs. We track this revenue each year in our key performance indicators for both these teams, which I lead, and we've got some really good news to share with you tonight. Next slide. My presentation will talk about funds raised, and we'll talk about some of the impacts of them. Fiscal year 24 highlights, and then we'll give you a sneak peek ahead to what's coming in fiscal year 25. Next slide, please. First, to look at progress in recent years, the combined teams of the Office of Sponsor Programs and the AACC Foundation have been bringing in approximately $5 million in new resources to the college each year. This year is pretty awesome. The $3.79 million in from private philanthropy and about $2.1 million from the Office of Sponsor Program. So 5.86, we're knocking on that $6 million door right now, and we're very grateful to our donors and our funders for making that happen. Next slide, please. To look at scholarship funds transmitted to college, this kind of gives you a sense.
Can I ask a question before you go on, please?
Sure.
Can you go back one slide?
If we could go back, yeah.
The thing I want to point out is, when it comes to sponsor, research, federal government, whoever, there's usually an indirect cost that goes with it. So $2,000 in terms of dollars that are spendable happens to be something less than that. I guess I was concerned about that because I think we're trying to add two things that are not exactly the same, but just a point that sponsored research carries with it a overhead that may make it a little less than what we see.
Fair enough. And I think one of the points we emphasize in our work with teams across the college is that often grants cost money. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the right grants, and we'll return to that theme a little bit later in the presentation. Great point. Next slide, please. Okay. So looking at scholarship funds transmitted to students, I think it's important to note here that we've been tracking about $1 million or over. Our most recent data that we have from our financial statements is for last year, which was just over $1 million. This year we're budgeting 1.149 in available resources. My report next year will be able to, or actually in the fall, we'll be able to give you an idea of what those resources were that went from AACC Foundation to the college's Office of Financial Aid to students to help keep them in school and help them come to school. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder, some of the goals that we had at the foundation this year, raise new funds, $2 million in new funds for priorities that were approved and recommended by college leadership. We also sought to work collaboratively with our colleagues at the college to expand community relationships in the areas of these priorities. And that's recognizing that the foundation board and staff can be real assets in the relationships that they bring to the college's work. Finally, this came out of the foundation's strategic plan that was developed a few years ago. It's worked with leadership to ensure that philanthropy is integrated into college planning teams. So that when we're looking at strategic challenges or opportunities, we are considering the difference that donor investment can make and those relationships can make. Next slide, please. So let's look at some highlights. I'm really pleased to share that we had over $2 million in legacy gifts come from donors this year. There's no greater honor for a charitable organization than when people put you in their will or their estate plans and they treat you like a family member. So all gifts matter like that at AACC. We're deeply grateful when people do this. And I'm happy to say that that $2 million, most of that is for endowed scholarships. So it'll be giving to students in perpetuity. The Ethel Williams Estate gift, for instance, $1.71 million. Once it's fully invested, that'll be about $65,000 a year that comes from that fund alone for scholarships to be able to support students. We're also pleased to share that we've had over $115,000 for HelpLink, or the HelpLink Fund for Nursing. This fund keeps hundreds of students in school each year, and generous donors have been extremely responsive and see the value of this, and we're extremely grateful for that. I want to thank this board for naming 3 spaces for donors on the basis of a charitable contribution. I think it means a lot when people come to us to honor or recognize their loved ones by having their legacy associated with the work that we do at this college. Thank you for that. Lastly, I just want to comment that when we had our strategic plan developed for the foundation, we envisioned a day when foundation staff would bring the perspective of philanthropy to a college planning team. And we're living into that right now with a team that Dean Elizabeth Apple chairs to look at how we can fully recruit the nurses for each cohort. There are 160 slots on each cohort. How we can help prospective candidates and current students overcome barriers and enroll in the program to begin a career as a registered nurse. We're making great progress in this. I look forward to sharing more with you. I'm reminded that one of my mentors once shared that donors give in proportion to the depth and breadth of the vision that they see an institution present. And I think we're giving people tangible ways to be able to make this community better, take care of their own and their loved ones, and provide the door of access to open it more broadly to people who want to begin a career in nursing. So we're grateful for that. Let me go to the next slide here. And I want to talk about the Office of Sponsored Programs and a couple of grants that are coming. I just want to share that 2 of the grants are results of sabbatical projects. The first is we were notified recently that the Teagle Foundation has made a significant investment in some innovative ways to look at humanities education. So that's coming in, and that the work of Candace Hill and Tim May led to the development of this proposal, which they led. So I think it's an example of when we invest in our faculty members for, to go out as a sabbatical. Sometimes they come home with good ideas and actually bring resources in for those ideas. Also, the Society for Teaching Psychology funded us this year through the Office of Sponsored Programs. This was something that faculty member Rochelle Tannenbaum envisioned, planning and organizing a conference for psychology faculty in the Mid-Atlantic. She had the first conference in April, and it was a success. So we're real excited to partner with faculty in that way. And lastly, I'll share that on cyber scholarships, we're the only community college in a coalition put together by the Rochester Institute of Technology to help veterans and first responders transition into cyber careers. So excited about that. Next slide. Lastly, when you look at these 2 teams, I think we found ways this year to develop some real synergy to advance innovation at the college. We've launched this year resource planning meetings where the people on the private philanthropy side of the house and the grants side sit with deans, other college leaders to hear innovative and emerging ideas and to help provide feedback and assistance to getting those ideas vetted at the college. Some of these ideas are things that we will be popping up as priorities, I think, in the future. The last couple items I've got here, we piloted a pre-approval form to make sure that grants that are developed are truly aligned with college priorities before the work goes into developing the grants. That, I think, has been a success this year. And we've also integrated our data. This work is about relationships and keeping information well preserved. And we're now in one database, I'm happy to say. Next slide, please. Looking ahead, I think from the foundation side, you'll see more work on nursing scholarships, the workforce development scholarships that we continue to raise money for, and Help Link support this year. I know the Office of Sponsored Programs is heavily involved in some work with the National Science Foundation that we hope will bear fruit in the next few days and in the coming months, so stay tuned for that. I just want to express my gratitude for the support of the people in this room who make this work possible, and you all who support us financially and just by being supportive of what we're doing to facilitate investment in our institution and help expand the reach of this college to help more people. Be happy to take any questions.
Chair Yuva, can I make a comment, please?
Please.
So I just want to make a comment
Please.
that, you know, with your, thank you, with the work that you've done, you know, I really want to commend you and your team, because I saw the first graph that was up, and it showed the incline over the past 4 years during the pandemic, and I know that was very difficult. You were probably taking a lot of Zoom meetings and calls,
Yes.
but definitely, I know that was challenging, but you all have really done an amazing job, and just want to thank you on behalf of the board.
Thank you. And the team of people I work with, they're amazing. I wish I had them all with me right now. I look to them when I see our success. So thank you for saying that. Comments or questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Next up is Continuing Education and Workforce Development and Non-Credit Program. Sandra Jones, our Dean.
Good afternoon. I'm going to give an overview of continuing education and workforce development in our non-credit programs and talk a little bit about some data and then end with a student story. So we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So just as a reminder, the School of Continuing Education and Workforce Development is made up of several unique departments that we put into the buckets that you see here on the screen. So the workforce areas for any individuals looking to upskill or reskill or enter into a career. Our lifelong learning programs is focused on, we have a large senior program, Kids in College, which is in full force this summer. We also do some lifelong learning in a variety of different areas like the arts and foreign languages and history. We have a large English language learning and adult education program for those students where we focus on high school completion as well as individuals who are multilingual learners looking to learn English skills. And then we also do contract training as well as some business services and credit cohorts as well. Next slide, please. So within CEWD, we manage kind of our own operational processes in terms of, you know, records and registry, taking back over management of the corrections contract. For all of the community colleges, we have exceeded our enrollment goal by 5%, and our eligible FTE goal by 9% for FY24, with strong enrollment in the areas that I mentioned, and also strong enrollment in growing areas such as the skilled trades and apprenticeship. Next slide. So this is Dr. Milner's favorite chart. We developed this one just for her. This is our non-credit week-to-week comparison. And again, because in non-credit and continuing education and workforce development, we have classes start and ending at any time. So we want to look at a week-to-week comparison to see where we were at a similar point in time as last year as a way to forecast our FTE. And this is what this chart is showing. And you'll see the upward growth, and then we kind of start to flatline towards the end of this fiscal year. So what we're doing right now is kind of going back and reviewing the number of sections, what courses we were offering to see if we can make a change in that for next fiscal year, but we are still on track with meeting our goals. Next slide, please. So also in continuing education and workforce development, the Hotel Culinary Arts and Tourism Institute is a part of our school. So the non-credit enrollment is tracked within the non-credit numbers I already presented. So this is showing the credit numbers. So again, HCAT is growing exponentially. We have 173 students for the spring 2024 semester, which is 108% of the goal for them. Then in terms of contract credit, again, these kind of programs ebb and flow depending on the needs of clients in the community. So we have large contracts with like the Department of Defense and the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. And again, enrollment in these is based on the needs of businesses or organizations in the community. So you'll see that number change. Next slide, please. Demographics by race and age. So our demographics continue to closely mirror the population of Anne Arundel County, with students identifying as white accounting for 45% of students, followed by Black, African American at 18%, and Hispanic at 16%. And students in our courses and programs start with elementary school age students, and our Kids in college programs all the way up to senior students. We actually have two individuals in our senior program that are over 100 years old taking classes right now. So I thought that was pretty cool. So the largest single age group represented in our courses is ages 61 to 80 with 47%, followed by 21 to 40 with 22%. So we see the full range of students. Next slide. So in terms of location, and just as a reminder, each one of these dots on the screen represents where students are located while they're taking our classes in continuing education and workforce development. So you can see we have a nice footprint all over the country of non-credit students. So in FY24, 633 students residing outside of Maryland participated in one or more of our non-credit likely online courses and programs. So we just thought that was interesting. Most students do reside in Anne Arundel County, followed by Howard, Prince George's, and Baltimore City. And next slide, please. Next, we're going to talk about the Clausen Center for Innovation and Skilled Trades, and these are actual students in our programs. Next slide. So the Clausen Center for Innovation and Skilled Trades, as you know, began offering program in January 2022 in electrical, low voltage, HVAC, and carpentry, and then the welding lab became fully operational in August of 2022. And since opening, we have seen a combined enrollment of over 1,800 students and a head count of 714. And you can see the breakdown here. Our strongest programs continue to be electrical. Welding is definitely a growth area for us. Lots of students interested in welding, and then along with our HVAC and our lifelong learning classes and the basic home repair. Next slide.
Can I ask an easy question? How does the demand compare to the supply? You guys-
Yes, so that's a very good question. Obviously, there's a great demand for a pipeline in the workforce. So if we had the part-time faculty and the availability of resources to offer more classes, we probably could get more students into them. We are kind of seeing a little bit of I don't want to say a lull or downturn, but maybe a lull. We're hearing from employers that a lot of the commercial work in the skilled trades is in the Virginia area, and they're probably not looking to rehire again until February because of issues with interest rates and different things. So we're trying to plan our courses around that, as well as our student hiring events. But yeah, there's definitely a demand, especially from the employer side for our programs. And we have no trouble helping students find jobs who are interested. So with that, let's talk about Hunter. Hunter was a student in the pre-apprenticeship HVAC program in the fall, and he's actually now employed with an HVAC company. And Hunter states that enrolling in the pre-apprenticeship program was the best decision he ever made, and he got great support and guidance from his instructor, Nicholas, who Dr. Lindsay referred to us, and which has been invaluable. He says his passion for the trade and his ability to break down complex terms has helped him tremendously. And his advice, which I think is sound advice, is pay attention, listen, take notes, and stay engaged. Just don't sit in the back of the room on the phone. So that's Hunter. Problem solved. So yes, and Hunter's, again, just an example of one of our students. We like to highlight a student when we present. So any questions I can answer for you? No?
Sandy and I have a connection. I need something done at the house. And if I like the person, I'm like, so, have you ever thought about teaching? What's your background?
Yes.
And I've gotten two
Yes,
this way.
you have. Yes, you have. Always a good recruitment tool, so thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I'm always on. All right, Chair for the Academic Forum / Council, Andrew Kim, who will be with us again next year.
Good afternoon, Board. In keeping with Chairman Uvla's theme, I'm going to keep this brief. Academic Forum meeting held on May 16 via Zoom. We then had a period of electronic voting on the motions that came up during that meeting. All that voting ended on June 10th with all motions passing, including increasing instructional staff inclusivity in the charter, as well as several current charter change amendments. So all charter change amendments were sent to Monica Rosso for the next step, which is legal and PVP review. So those should hopefully be done in the next coming months. Worked quite a bit with nominating committee on some committee needs and requirements that are outlined in the charter. Attended meetings with Dean Myers with representatives from TFO leadership and membership about digital accessibility So excited to move that forward. Approved goals for academic, my goals for this year were attained, which were chiefly updating the charter. So we have as soon as the final steps get pushed through, we'll have a charter that is truly reflective of how we do business, and increasing inclusivity in academic forum affairs. And I'm looking forward to continuing the digital accessibility work and continuing as your academic forum chair in the next academic year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. From our administrative staff organization, Andrea Zamora, President.
Good afternoon, Chair Uvula, Dr. Lindsay, and members of the Board of Trustees. Just to update you, I mentioned the slate of officers at the last meeting, so that was all approved by vote, so they will take over at your next meeting. The ASO Executive Board is continuing to engage ASO members to serve on various college committees for the coming academic and fiscal year, and nearly all committee spots are filled, but we have a little more convincing to do. The current leadership team is collaborating with the newly elected team to plan for the upcoming year. Roles of officers and members at large have been discussed and clarified, and potential charter amendments are being planned, as well as an ASO yearly timeline, which was developed. We shared our goal updates with you throughout the year, and more recent updates include also a thank you to our members as they were volunteers to support the 2024 commencement ceremonies. Also, our ASO members were invited to attend IIT Information Security Awareness Training, which was sponsored and scheduled by PSSO, so we were happy to collaborate with them. And we are continuing to provide advocacy and support as needed by our members as they continue to be invited to provide input on policies open for review and are encouraged to serve on college-wide committees. Thank you again for the opportunity to share monthly updates with you at your meetings. And Dr. Lindsay, I want to thank you for your collaboration and support throughout this year at the monthly CAP meetings and at the ASO leadership meetings. We've also enjoyed the opportunity to share our membership input and questions with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, from our professional and support staff organization, Lisa Starkey, President.
Always nervous. Good evening, members of the board, College Board, Dr. Lindsay, and AACC colleagues. Our written report covers PSSO activities for May and June. We have a few highlights to share this evening. We held our PSSO area rep and alt meeting on Wednesday, June 5th, and provided the members in attendance with the committee year-end reports and our FY24 goals and accomplishments. Our written report to the board showcases the extensive accomplishments, 3 pages, of the PSSO, including the leadership team, area reps and alts, members that also served on PSSO committees and members on college-wide committees. The PSSO leadership is proud of the work achieved by the PSSO during FY24. The leadership team began in July by creating our leadership philosophy. That was this year's PSSO leadership team is committed to supporting the PSSO members and working in collaboration with college leadership and AACC constituency groups by honoring college values and leading with positivity, kindness, and empathy, and civility. This was our guiding principle with how we worked on behalf of the PSSO throughout the year. During August PSSO meeting, the area reps approved our goals, and they were the following. Examine opportunities to improve communication and availability of professional advancement, including career ladder, professional recognition, and professional development. Number 2 was explore and implement opportunities to increase PSSO member engagement, including within the PSSO organization and college-wide. And our 3rd, explore and implement opportunities to improve workplace culture and employee wellness through fostering an environment of positive communication, kindness, and work-life harmony. Our goals were aligned to college values. Our accomplishments were achieved through hard work, collaboration, innovation, continuous improvement, and a growth mindset, while working in a framework of civility, positivity, and professionalism. These accomplishments were achieved by the PSSO leadership team, Caitlin, Laura, and myself, in addition to the area reps and alts, PSSO committee members, representatives to college-wide committees, and the efforts of many of our members. We thank the AACC leadership, including Dr. Lindsay and the vice presidents, our colleagues and the other constituency groups, and many colleagues and departments across the college for their support and opportunities to collaborate. In closing, I'd like to welcome the incoming fiscal year 2025 PSSO leadership team, Caitlin Silver-Negron, our president, Rachel Rickman, vice president, and Laura Howard, secretary. I have had such a wonderful year, and I thank everyone that is in this room for your support. This has just been a wonderful leadership opportunity for me, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was tough and it was hard work, but it definitely was something that I will really remember well. So this is my last report, and as they say in the House of Dragons and Game of Thrones, my reign is over. Thank you all. And I won't forget, any questions?
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
You've got everybody welling up in here. Student Government Association, Zach Buster Johnson, I don't see him, but he's on the agenda. If he's hiding back there? No? Okay. Then I'll move to the faculty organization. The current TFO chair couldn't make it, and in such incoming support, our new TFO president, Ken Jarvis, is providing the report. And I'm excited because I got to work with Ken when he was president before COVID. I didn't give you a year.
I am the recorder, not the president.
Oh, I keep saying that. I keep thinking of you. You're right.
I was already president 4 times.
I know. It's just hard to let go.
That's good enough.
Sorry about that, Ken.
Greetings, everyone. I am Ken Jarvis, professor of hotel restaurant management, and I am the incoming TFO recorder for next year.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay, for asking me to attend this evening. On behalf of the incoming TFO president, Professor Brandy Shepard, and TFO vice president Eric Dunham, who you all know, who I was VP president with when he was VP many years ago.
2015,
when you
maybe?
first started. I would like to sincerely thank the board budget committee, Chair Uvula, Dr. Lindsay, the college administration, for supporting the TFO compensation committee goal of 6% compensation pool. This, along with last year's 10% increase, are incredibly appreciated and quite unprecedented. Thank you so much. I've been here over 30 years, and the support to the faculty compensation request is exceptional. Thank you so, so much. We really, really do appreciate it. TFO is in a transition period now. Brandy, Eric send their gratitude as well. They're both at conferences and out of the state right now. There are plans on the horizon to continue to strengthen communication within TFO. We've actually created a TFO leadership email to communicate all things TFO on a regular basis and to also help to decentralize TFO communication rather than coming from many different people. It's hoped that our TFO meetings will become hybrid and eventually face-to-face rather than fully online, although online does attract a greater audience. We have great attendance that way, so we don't want to detract from that. If you don't know Brandy, she is extremely full of energy and she is very excited to take over this job. She looks forward to seeing you all next academic year and working with everyone. And we wish you all a happy summer.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks,
Good
Ken.
to be back.
Okay. The Maryland Association of Community Colleges activities. The MAC executive team met last week to discuss the recommended slate of officers for 2024-2025 and the FY25 budget recommendation and the agenda for the MAC Board of Directors meetings on June 25th. The MAC staff is planning for the Maryland Council of Community Colleges President's Retreat, which will be held August 5th and 6th at Garrett College. It is a drive. And I'm going to move now into our one action item under the President's Report. Dr. Kelly McCants-Price, Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, presenting and looking for approval of the Maryland Higher Education Commission. So this is a voting action item.
So, good evening, Chair Uvala, board members, Dr. Lindsay, the gallery behind me. So as you all probably know, many of you know, the Maryland Higher Education Commission Cultural Diversity Report is due July 1st. So, as is our custom, in June, we present that report for your review and approval. In the report this year, Section 1 is very typical. It showcases the college's efforts to improve cultural diversity for our institution. Section 2 typically showcases the DEIAA events and activities that we've done during the year. This year, MHEC has asked all institutions, in light of the Supreme Court decisions in June 2023 regarding race-conscious admissions, to address what we are doing, what kinds of strategies we have enacted to address the Supreme Court decision. So because AACC and the 15 Maryland area community colleges stand firmly on the commitment to warmly accept the top 100% of all students who apply, the MAC presidents agreed to the verbiage in Section 2 that was written by Dr. Jermaine Williams from Montgomery College. And as a reminder of our ongoing dedication to creating a sense of belonging to all students, regardless of background or identity. And that concludes my report. See, Chair Uvala, simple, short.
I knew you could do it.
And so, are there any questions?
Okay, the main motion in front of the board is that the Board of Trustees approve Anne Arundel Community College's 2024 Cultural Diversity Report as shown in Exhibit 1 for submission to the Maryland Higher Education Commission by September the 1st, 2024.
Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Monica, would you call for the vote, please?
Yes, trustees, when I call your name, please say your vote. Chair Uvala,
Approve.
Vice Chair Chen,
Approve.
Trustee Chaudhry,
Approve.
Trustee Johnson,
Approve.
Trustee Moore,
Approve.
Trustee Price Jones,
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram,
Approve.
Trustee Gwynn,
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Doctor.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lindsay. Is there any new business to be brought before us? Next public session is September 10th, 2024. To discuss the performance evaluation of the president and to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation pursuant to sections 3-305B1 and 3-305B8 of the General Provisions Article of Maryland Code, I will take a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Monica, would you call for the vote, please?
Trustees, when I call your name, please state your vote. Chair Uvala,
Approve?
Vice Chair Chen,
Approve.
Trustee Chaudhry,
Approve.
Trustee Johnson,
Approve.
Trustee Moore,
Approve.
Trustee Price Jones,
Approve.
Trustee Stanton Buttram. Approve. Trustee Gwynn.
Approve.
Chair Uvala, the motion passes.
Thank you, Monica. We're adjourned.